So hey anime fans. The series name is What If Naruto Got Harem with Pokemon? So let's start the series. As he completed the first technique in the forbidden scroll he had taken from the headmaster's house, Naruto was panting heavily. He laughed at how easy he had defeated the headmaster, using his Auric no spear dart. Naruto laughed and thought, he should just give me his position since I defeated him, but he opened the scroll again to acquire a second method after spotting one. Since he had only seen them in class, Naruto bit his thumb just enough to allow some blood to spill onto the image, when the strange-looking red and white ball with what appeared to be a blood seal came off the page and into his hands. As Naruto pressed the silver button on it, he whispered to himself, "Just what is this?" A dazzling flash of light appeared, and it transformed into an odd monster. It had 3 brown stripes on its back and a brown tail edge, giving it the appearance of a yellow bipedal mouse with red cheeks. When it opened its eyes, it had black eyes and black ear tips. It scanned its surroundings before spotting Naruto. Pika. Naruto studied the item's description after gaping at what he was viewing. This is a Pokeball, an item that was created to house strange creatures called Pokemon. Inside this ball is a Pokemon called Pikachu, the electric mouse Pokemon. It is said to store electricity in the sacs on its cheeks. Naruto looked startled. So your name is Pikachu? Pika Pie. Naruto examined the description again. They talk a certain language that revolves around their names. Pikachu approached Naruto, sniffed him, and then leaped up on his shoulders. Cha. Naruto was a little taken aback by how amiable this Pikachu was, but he grinned and gave the Pikachu a cheek rub, which the Pikachu seems to like. "It's nice to meet you, Pikachu." Naruto and Pikachu exclaimed, "There you are." As they looked up to see Iruka charging in their direction, but he stopped upon seeing Pikachu. "What on earth is that?" Kami Iruka pondered before Naruto grinned broadly. As he continued to stroke Pikachu's cheeks, Naruto exclaimed joyfully, "Found me already, huh? That was quick. I only had time to learn one technique and meet Pikachu here. He has been practicing hard." Iruka thought as he studied Naruto's rough state before he raised an eyebrow. "Pikachu. Pika." Pikachu exclaimed, gesturing toward Iruka. Naruto immediately leaped to his feet, and Pikachu hardly remained on his shoulder as he said, "Yup, I've only known him for 2 minutes, and he's already a friend. Listen Iruka-sensei, I'm going to show you an amazing technique, and you're going to let me graduate. That's the way it works, right?" "What are you talking about?" Iruka questioned, perplexed. Naruto continued to smile as he stated, "Mizuki-sensei told me about it. He said that it's a great way to let people pass. He told me that all I had to do was come here with the scroll, and then I had to learn a technique." When Iruka heard that, his eyes opened, but before he could speak, he caught a glimpse of something. "Look out." He shoved Naruto, pushing him and Pikachu back, and then kunai attacked, pinning Iruka to the wall with one of them stuck in his leg, while the others tore up his clothing. Additionally, he had a kunai in each shoulder blade. "I see that you found our little hideaway, Iruka." Mizuki, the white-haired chunin, descended with a grin that gave him a menacing appearance. The kunai was yanked from Iruka's leg. His voice was filled with sadness as he questioned, "So that's the way it is, huh? I should have known." Naruto questioned, "What's going on?" Well, Pikachu scowled at Mizuki and squinted his eyes in shock. Before he saw the creature, Mizuki exclaimed, "Naruto, give me the scroll now." Yeti grinned at how pitiful it appeared. Iruka yelled, "Naruto, don't give him this scroll. It contains forbidden techniques that will put the village in great danger." Naruto stared at Mizuki upon hearing that, but the man sneered. "Iruka is worried about what you will do with the scroll." Mizuki grinned broadly upon seeing Naruto's face. "I'll tell you he's really lying." Iruka yelled, "No, Mizuki," as she realized what the traitor was about to do. From the tree branch she was standing on, Mizuki questioned, "Have you ever wondered why everyone hated you? Why they treated you like dirt? Why they hated you for just being alive? Everyone knows but you, even Iruka here knows." "What are you talking about?" Perplexed Naruto interrogated. "What does everyone know? You wouldn't know since the 3rd headmaster passed the decree 12 years ago." Mizuki laughed. "It was made so you wouldn't know." "What is it?" Angrily, Naruto screamed. Mizuki smirked malevolently at Naruto's shocked expression and remarked, "No one can tell you that the 9-tailed fox is inside you. That's right, the demon that nearly destroyed the village is inside your body. You're the 9-tailed fox." Naruto shook his head, saying, But that can't be. The Yondaime headmaster killed it 12 years ago." Mizuki laughed and said, "What day was it?" October 10th. Naruto was aware that Mizuki was telling the truth, so he stopped talking and recalled that he was born on that day. He collapsed to his knees in shock, asking, "Oh Kami. Why? Die?" Mizuki hurled shuriken, his demon windmill. "Pikachu." It was knocked away by an electrical bolt, drawing everyone's attention to Pikachu as it stood guard in front of Naruto. "What?" growled Mizuki. "You choose to protect a demon." Iruka coughed in agony. "He's not a demon. Naruto is one of a kind. He works hard and he makes people laugh. He's Naruto of the village hidden in the leaves." When Naruto heard it, he started to cry, but Mizuki shook his head. "You're a delusional fool, Iruka. After I kill that pathetic rat you will be next. If you ever lay a hand on my sensei or my friend Pikachu I will kill you." Naruto let out a snarl. Mizuki charged at Pikachu as if you could brat. But Naruto performed a ram seal. Gage bunch and no spirit art. Everyone was shocked as 100 clones of Naruto appeared in the smoke-filled clearing. As they all ran at him, one of the clones said, "So you think that you're tough, Mizuki?" Within minutes, he was on the ground, blood streaming from his mouth and nose, before the clones vanished in a cloud of smoke. Naruto laughed and scratched the back of his head, oblivious to Mizuki's kunai as he stood up. "I think that I went a little too far." Iruka said, "Naruto, look out." But Pikachu turned into a blur and crashed into Mizuki, knocking the traitor unconscious and sending him flying into a tree. Naruto grinned and said, "Thanks, Pikachu." Pikachu grinned back and gave a thumbs up. Iruka looked in awe as Pikachu leaped back on the blonde's shoulder, thinking, he wants to surpass all the headmasters, and I'm starting to believe that he might actually do it. Plus, Naruto might be more powerful than anyone else with his new friend. Iruka smiled at that. He said, "Naruto, come here. I have something that I want to give you." Before being instructed to close his eyes, Naruto tilted his head in bewilderment. He did so, and eventually he felt the goggles on top of his head shifting. When Naruto said, "Okay, you can open your eyes now," Iruka was holding Naruto's goggles and was not wearing his forehead shield. "Congratulations. You graduate." Naruto reached up in shock and felt Elise Shinobi's headband on his forehead. "I did." At the blonde's response, Iruka grinned. "And to celebrate, I'll treat you to ramen." Naruto remained silent for a while before giving Iruka a hug. He said, "Thank you." As Pikachu laughed at his actions. He was grinning when Iruka said, "Hey, that hurts." After some time, they went to see the headmaster to report on the events. Sarutobi nodded and then glared at Naruto, saying, "Well done on getting the scroll back. Although it shouldn't have been taken in the first place." Sheepishly, Naruto massaged the back of his skull. He said, "Sorry, Oji-san." Sarutobi's expression softened after a few seconds. "But capturing a traitor excuses you for that," he said. Pikachu grinned that his new friend didn't get into too much trouble as Naruto nodded. Sarutobi looked at Pikachu and said, "Now are you going to tell me who your friend there is? And how did you meet him?" Iruka inquired inquisitively. "I've never seen a creature like him before." Before removing the Pokeball, Naruto declared, "This is Pikachu and he is a Pokemon. This is what he was in when it came out of the scroll." Iruka exclaimed, "Pikachu came out of the scroll." Naruto mumbled, "Yup. But I still don't get what a Pokemon is exactly." Returning the focus to himself, Sarutobi remarked, "I can explain that." "What?" exclaimed Naruto and Iruka. After giving his ear a massage, Sarutobi went on. "The Yondaime had a catalog of creatures that he called Pokemon, but I always thought that they were purely legend." He reached for a book. He said that one of them was capable of bringing him to a different time period, where hundreds of them existed. Naruto quickly perused the book before coming on the Pikachu page. As he read more precise information about him and the attacks he could discover, Naruto mumbled, "Whoa. Jiji-san. Can I keep this?" Sarutobi bowed and said, "Of course. I'll give it to you as thanks for bringing Mizuki in as well as pay you for a B rank, since now that you graduated you will need money to pay for your apartment." Naruto pumped his fist, his smile growing. Then he exclaimed, "All right, I had a B rank mission." Sarutobi scowled after Iruka chuckled at Naruto's response. He turned to face Iruka, he nodded and walked out of the room, saying, "We must also talk about what you learned from Mizuki." Naruto became somewhat irate upon hearing that. "Why didn't you tell me?" he politely inquired. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" Sarutobi groaned and got to his feet, saying, "I didn't tell you because I wanted you to grow old enough to handle the truth. That is why I made the rule for no one to talk about it. Even those who whispered it were punished severely in hopes of giving you a normal life, but the parents found a way around that rule, and for that I am sorry." Before Pikachu prodded his arm, Naruto was quiet for a while. "Pika." Naruto nodded and answered, "I'm fine. It's just a lot to take in. By the way, can you understand Pikachu?" Naruto laughed nervously and acknowledged, "Not really, no. I'm mostly guessing." Sarutobi nodded as he walked up to Naruto, making a few hand gestures before putting a hand on both him and Pikachu, causing both to momentarily feel dizzy. Naruto mumbled, "What was that about?" Pikachu whimpered, "Oh my head." Naruto stared at Pikachu and froze. "I just understood you." "You can?" grinned Pikachu. "That's good." In amazement, Naruto questioned, "Jiji-san, what did you do?" "It was a technique that Minato created to understand Pokemon, and he showed it to me saying that I should know it just in case." Naruto questioned bewilderedly, "So only you and I can understand Pikachu?" Sarutobi nodded, "Precisely." Naruto jumped and cheered, "Cool." Before he had an idea. "Hey Pikachu." Pikachu tilted his head and said, "What is it, Naruto?" Before Naruto produced the headband Mizuki had removed off the traitor. Before grinning hurriedly at the headmaster, Naruto said, "I was going to give this back to Jiji-san, but I want to know if you would mind being my partner. If that's okay, of course." Sarutobi gave a nice smile. "Of course it's okay, Naruto." Pikachu grinned. "Sure, on one condition." Naruto blinked. "Ah, sure." Pikachu warned him, "Never put me in the Pokeball again. I like being out in the open." After saying, "Deal." Naruto fastened the headband to Pikachu's forehead. Look how high Ninja Village, you're looking at the greatest team in history. On Naruto's shoulder, Pikachu exclaimed, you said it. As they entered. You'll succeed, Naruto. Sarutobi thought pleasantly, I'm sure of it, before turning to face his desk and doing a double take when he noticed that the volume of papers had seemingly tripled since he had first begun speaking with Naruto. Damn it. As Naruto got to know Pikachu better, he asked him inquisitively back at his room, so you're hoping to become headmaster someday? The entire stroll was filled with the typical hateful glares directed at Naruto, but there were also some confused looks because Pikachu was on his shoulder, and people were wondering what the devil he was. Naruto gave a quick nod. Yeah, and I'll become the greatest one of them all. Believe it. The booming voice of Naruto caused Pikachu to perspire. Well, one thing, how can you be a ninja in that jumpsuit? What do you mean? Naruto inquired, perplexed. What's wrong with it? The Pikachu deadpanned, it's orange. People will see you and shout target practice. Naruto objected, saying, but it's the only thing that I have. It's not like the other stores will let me in due to my other tenants. Pikachu shook his head at the villagers' bigotry before considering that, simply by hanging out with Naruto, they would likely believe that he was some sort of devil spawn. Okay, what techniques do you know? Naruto pondered for a while. At last, he added, Henge, Kawurimi, Oryakan Kage Bunshin. Pikachu inquired after hearing that, but he nodded, not wanting to know what sexy no spirit art was. Couldn't you use your transformation spirit art to go unnoticed into a store? After all these years, the blonde Jinchuriki's eyes were still twitching as he gazed at Pikachu, yet he sighed. He said, I can't hold a transformation for that long. I'll have to talk to Jiji-san later. Pikachu gave a nod. Okay, so what now? Naruto concluded, I think that we should try some training. That way I get to know your moves and we can come up with some sort of combination. Pikachu opted to hop on his shoulder and said, sure, I'm game. But can we eat first? Naruto laughed. After saying, sure Pikachu. Naruto was silent. As they strolled through the streets, he inquired, hey, what do you think happened to the other Pokemon in the world? And why were you the only one inside the scroll? Pikachu gave a shrug. I have no idea, Naruto, but I want to find out myself. Maybe not all the Pokemon have disappeared. Eh? Asked Naruto, perplexed. You're the first one we've seen in a long time. Pikachu explained to his buddy, I'm talking about the legendaries. They're too powerful to have disappeared like that. Naruto came to the conclusion, so you think that they might just be hiding? Exactly. Once that was resolved, the two arrived at Ichiraku's ramen stand. Hey old man, can I get a few bowls? Tucci said, who are you calling old man? Oh, it's only you, Naruto. He appeared taken aback when he saw Pikachu. Either I'm seeing things or that's a big yellow mouse. Pikachu's glare at Tucci for that remark made Naruto laugh. He clarified, this is Pikachu, my ninja partner. Like how dogs are for the Inizuka clan. Tucci laughed and said, ah, I see. So I take it that he wants something to eat as well. Naruto informed him, 2 bowls of miso ramen. We need to get some training done soon. Tucci returned to the kitchen and said, coming right up. Naruto inquired, hey, where's Aim-chan? Tucci said, it's her day off, Naruto. I made her take one off because she hasn't had one off in a while. Sounds like she's dedicated. Pikachu stated to Naruto. Naruto chuckled, sounds like her. Both of them departed after finishing their ramen before making their way to the training ground. Naruto stretched and said, okay, Pikachu, you and I are going to spar. Pikachu dropped down on all fours and said, you want me to go all out? As he prepared, Naruto grinned and asked, is that a trick question? We both will go all out. As Naruto released some shadow clones, Pikachu nodded and unleashed a thundershock. Naruto said, take this. And attempted to strike Pikachu, but the yellow mouse turned into a blur and slammed into him, pushing him back. As Pikachu dispatched his shadow clones with ease, Naruto pondered, well, according to the book I read, those 2 attacks are called Thundershock and Quick Attack. Then, his tail gleamed and he smashed another one away. Is that Iron Tail? Pikachu on the other hand was having fun as he took down the many shadow clones that Naruto made since after being in a Pokeball for so long, he hasn't had a chance to let loose in a long time. After a few hours the clones disappeared. Pikachu turned to face Naruto as he stated, okay, I think we should stop. It's late and we have to take our ninja photo ID tomorrow. Pikachu asked, already? As he noticed the sun lowering in the sky. Wow. Naruto grinned. Pikachu sprang back atop his shoulder and said, I know right. Before they left. Since Naruto was running late the following morning, he was unable to paint his face as he had intended. In their haste, Pikachu's headband unintentionally tore, forcing him to do a henge to purchase a red scarf to wrap around his neck and a red headband to tie around his head with the head plate on it. Naruto thought it looked pretty awful. Sarutobi was taken aback by the image. To be honest, I thought that you were going to paint your face as a joke, but this is much better. For his teeth, Naruto lied, of course I wasn't. I'm a ninja, not a little kid anymore. With a drop of perspiration, Pikachu thought, liar. The door swung open, interrupting them both as a child in a blue scarf, yellow shirt, and gray helmet entered. Holding a shuriken, he yelled, "You're mine, old man," before stepping on his blue scarf and making a face plant that made everyone in the room perspire. Was his own scarf the cause of his trip? Naruto pondered bewilderedly. Pikachu shook his head at the picture, saying, "He's more unbalanced than a spinda." "Not again," sighed Sarutobi. The child stood up with a palm to his face and said, "Damn it. Who set a trap?" Before he sighed, a Jounin with sunglasses entered and said, "Honorable grandson, are you alright? And there isn't a trap anywhere." Knowing that the child was Konohamaru, the elderly man's grandson, Naruto groaned, but Konohamaru turned to face him. "Hey. Why did you trip me?" "Eh?" Naruto squinted as Pikachu threw himself from his shoulder, giggling uncontrollably. "I didn't trip you." The Jounin gave Naruto a glance. "The Kyuubi brat." He turned to face Pikachu. "Oh, and it appears that he also has a demon minion." Konohamaru grabbed the boy's shirt and roared, "I demand to know why you tripped me." He was furious with Naruto. Naruto shouted at him, "You tripped over your own scarf, idiot." "Let him go," commanded the Jounin. "He's the honorable grandson of Headmaster Sama here." Naruto turned to face the Jounin, and Konohamaru grinned. "What's wrong? I thought you were going to punch me." "He wouldn't do it now that he knows who I am. He's just like everyone else." Pikachu sighed as Konohamaru stated that, and the Jounin scared out. "Here we go." Naruto yelled, "I don't care if you were freaking Arceus." Pikachu gave him a startled glance before punching Konohamaru in the back of the skull. "Honorable grandson." When Sarutobi raised his hand, the Jounin rushed to capture Naruto. Sarutobi said, "Stand down, Abisu." Abisu attempted to speak, but Headmaster Sama, but Naruto yawned. Naruto got up as Pikachu climbed on his shoulder and said, "Well, since my ninja ID is done, Pikachu and I are going to head out to train some more. See you, Gigi." Abisu glanced at the headmaster as he walked away. He turned to find that Konohamaru was gone. "How can you let that upstart get away with what he does? He insults you and assaults your grandson," he said. "AHH. Where's the honorable grandson?" Sarutobi smoked his pipe and said, I believe that he followed Naruto." Abisu hurried away as a result. As Naruto passed down the street, Pikachu questioned, "So were you serious about not caring if he was Arceus?" Naruto snorted, "Of course. No one should act like that, it doesn't matter who they are." Pikachu nodded in agreement before his ears perked up as he turned to face the rear. "Too true. You have a stalker. It's Konohamaru, isn't it?" "Yup." Naruto sighed as he turned the corner and sprang over the fence. Konohamaru turned to look around as Naruto approached from behind. "Huh. I know that I saw him come down here," he said. "Why are you following me?" As Naruto spoke behind him, Konohamaru leaped and then fell on his butt in disbelief. "So the rumors are true. You are good. Please make me your apprentice." It wasn't what Naruto and Pikachu were anticipating. "Huh?" they both asked, staring at him bewildered. "Please. I really need a good teacher, and I think that you're the perfect one," Konohamaru pleaded. Naruto told him, "Forget about it. I don't have time for an apprentice. I'll do anything, boss." Naruto said, "Boss." The smile said, "Yeah, you're my boss, Konohamaru." Naruto turned to face his partner and asked, "What do you think, Pikachu?" According to Pikachu, honestly, it might do the kids some good. Plus it would help you out since when you become a Jounin, you'll have a team of your own to train. When Naruto said, "Okay then," he cracked his knuckles. "I'm going to work you hard." "You got it, boss." Abisu was in a panic as he looked everywhere for Konohamaru on their way to the training ground. "I refuse to allow the honorable grandson to be corrupted by that demon and his hellspawn beast. I have to locate them," he thought, quickening his speed. Who knows what sort of torture he is inflicting on the honorable grandson. When Naruto asked Konohamaru to perform basic ninja art at the training ground, he soon saw how inadequate he was at the henge. "Okay, we're just going to work on your henge today. Right, boss? Your test is to turn into Pikachu." Naruto made Pikachu dismount before transforming into an exact duplicate of the character. "You complete this and I'll teach you the Kourimi." Konohamaru nodded, and the two of them worked on it for at least 3 hours. Naruto acknowledged that he was astonished by the child's endurance, which was adequate, but not as good as his. Breathing heavily, Konohamaru said, How was that, boss?" Naruto gave a nod. "You did great, Konohamaru." He smiled and gave a compliment. "Isn't that right, Pikachu?" Before Naruto translated for him, Pikachu acknowledged that Konohamaru gave him a perplexed expression. "He did better than I thought he would." "Awesome. At this rate I'll be headmaster in no time." With a startled expression, Naruto told him, "It isn't that easy." "What do you mean?" "You keep saying headmaster, but you can't be headmaster by just learning one technique. If it was that easy then everyone would become headmaster." Naruto looked up. "Why do you want to be headmaster anyway?" Konohamaru turned to face the floor. "When Grandpa named me he called me Konohamaru, so it would be easier for everyone to remember, but no one calls me that, all they see is the honorable grandson of the third headmaster." "Well," Naruto said, smiling, "I call you Konohamaru." Pikachu laughed. "You wouldn't call him honorable grandson even if you were forced to." "Very true." Naruto got up and said, "Look, Konohamaru. Becoming headmaster means to protect everyone that you care about. It means to put your life on the line for something that truly matters. Plus you have to beat me first. Why? Because with Pikachu I've been training to become headmaster myself. Naruto laughed. You can become headmaster as well, but you have to train hard because there are no shortcuts. Ibisa was listening throughout the entire talk, but neither of them realized it. As he heard the youngster's statements, he thought, perhaps I misjudged the boy. He is right about everything. He probably has better teaching qualities than I do. Of course, I'll never admit it. Konohamaru then got to his feet. With his head turned away from Naruto to hide his smirk, he asked, who are you to lecture me? That's it, you're no longer my boss, so now we're rivals. Naruto grinned. After saying, then someday we'll fight for the title of Headmaster Konohamaru, and that is a promise. He waved him off. Pikachu grinned and remarked, I'm actually looking forward to that fight. You two going at it. Naruto let out a sigh, you said it, pal. Konohamaru will make a great rival and friend. Pikachu tilted his head to the side and said, and tomorrow you'll get team placements right. You know it. After saying that, the two partners left for their house. Pikachu jolted Naruto up, causing him to yawn. Come on Naruto, team placements are today. After a few seconds of staring at Pikachu in bewilderment, Naruto's eyes suddenly opened, frightening the electric mouse. AHH. He sprang out of bed, but to Pikachu's delight, he stumbled over the jumpsuit he had thrown to the ground the other day, and performed a face flop while sliding over the floor. Ow. Pikachu chuckled at the predicament of Naruto. Naruto mumbled, shut up. He stood up and rubbed his face in agony before reaching the refrigerator and opening it to take out the milk, but Pikachu intervened. What? Pikachu said, that's expired milk. Naruto blinked, then sighed as he turned to face the milk. Damn it, now I can't drink anything. Sarcastically, Pikachu said, how about water? Before heading to his room, Naruto threw away the milk and said, oh shut it. He picked up his jumpsuit and sniffed, his eyes widening. Phew. Man, this stinks. Pikachu put on his headband and scarf and stepped forward, saying, that's all that you've been wearing. You really need to get some new clothes. Naruto informed him, but I don't have any. Plus the store owners will just throw me out if I try to get some new clothes. Pikachu let out a sigh. Hello. You're Henge. Oh right. 5 minutes later, Naruto used a henge to buy some clothes, and he was now wearing a black shirt, blue jeans, an open sleeveless blue vest, and green fingerless gloves as he walked towards the academy. Consider Ash's first appearance without the hat. Naruto grinned and strolled with his hands behind his head, saying, ah, it feels good to be out of orange. Naruto pouted a little as Pikachu said, at least you don't look like an eyesore anymore. However, he understood that Pikachu was joking, so they arrived at the classroom and were both taken aback to see that he was the first one there. Oh, you did get the day of squad selection right, didn't you? Naruto informed him, of course I did. He sat down to wait after saying, we're just a little early. They all stared at Naruto in bewilderment as they entered since they knew he had failed, but what really caught them off guard was his new appearance and the yellow mouse perched on his shoulder. The boy with dark pineapple-shaped hair called out, hey Naruto, what are you doing here? As he observed Pikachu. I've never seen a creature like that before, and it's too large and multicolored to be a typical mouse. How annoying. Naruto scowled and gestured to his forehead. Oh yeah. You see this Shikamaru? It's a regulation headband. Pikachu looked at Naruto. Calm down Naruto, he was just asking an honest question. Since they couldn't understand him, everyone was taken aback when Naruto responded to Pikachu. I suppose you're right Pikachu. The boy with red tribal marks on his face and a grey hoodie over his head petted a white dog and said, bah, that little rat doesn't look so tough. Akamaru is capable of outperforming him. A child wearing a blue blouse and shaped like a duck butt with onyx-colored hair turned to stare at Naruto. He shook his head and thought, so the dope actually passed. I suppose that anyone could become a ninja, he said, turning to face Pikachu. And what a pitiful creature it looks. Both Pikachu and Naruto turned to watch two Kunoichi dash into the classroom, as they were all stopped by what sounded like a stampede. One Kunoichi had pink hair and a plain red dress, while the other had long blonde hair and a ponytail and a purple dress. In contrast, Naruto was drooling a little as he gazed at the girl with the pink hair. He had had a long-term crush on Sakura. In contrast, Pikachu had a drop of perspiration. On their own, those two started a stampede that was equal to a herd of toros. However, Sakura turned to face them, and Naruto got to his feet. Hey, Sakura-chan. He exclaimed, assuming she would like to sit by him. Pikachu was now taken aback. Is that Sakura? He conjured up the idea that she was an angel when Naruto talked to him about her. Sakura, however, rushed past Naruto. She pushed him forward, saying, move Baka. Pikachu shook his head, saying, she's a bitch. Sakura spoke to the boy with the duck hair, Naruto friend-kun, may I sit next to you? Pikachu glanced at Naruto, who was preparing to approach his friend after looking downcast. Just sit down and avoid getting into trouble. Buzzkill. Therefore, Naruto simply sat with Pikachu and wrote down the techniques that Pikachu is familiar with, as well as potential combos that they could do. One of them involves his cage bushin, but he hasn't tested it yet. That's when Iruka entered. He attracted everyone's attention by saying, starting today, you are real ninjas. But you are still really rookie genin. The hard part is just started. With resolve in his eyes, Naruto thought, bring it on, Iruka-sensei. Now you will be assigned duties by the village, so today we'll be creating the 3-man teams, and each team will have a Jounin-sensei. Iruka laughed as she explained. You will follow that sensei's instructions as you complete the assigned duties. A friend of Naruto snorted. 3rd-man teams. Just more folks getting in my way. Sakura thought resolutely, I have to be with Naruto friend Kun. Naruto simply rested his hand on it. Anyone besides Naruto's friend, Sakura-chan. Pikachu, however, had different ideas. As long as my partner isn't on that team, that girl with the pink hair. The paper with the names on it was held up by Iruka. Before yelling names, he clarified, we tried to balance the team by their strengths. Until then, Naruto ignored him. Team 7, Sakura Haruno, Naruto. Yes. Naruto said as Sakura and Pikachu exchanged a single thought. Damn it. Then Naruto friend Ichiha. Nu? Cried Naruto with surprise. Hell yes. Said Sakura. I'm not familiar with him, Pikachu reflected. However, Naruto got to his feet. Sakura glared at him as he pointed at his Naruto pal and said, Iruka-sensei, why does an outstanding ninja team like Pikachu and I have to be put on the same team as that bum? She tried to punch Naruto, but Pikachu moved in front of him, causing electricity to flow off his cheeks and drawing attention to him. What did you call Naruto friend Kanyubaka? She asked. Pikachu threatened, you punch my partner and I will fry you. Knowing full well that only Naruto could comprehend him. Pikachu was seized by Naruto. He tried to talk his partner out of flying at Sakura to deliver her an iron tail to the face, saying, whoa buddy, there's no reason to electrocute Sakura-chan. Pikachu angrily complained, she insults you and is about to hit you. If she does I'll electrocute her regardless if she's a teammate or not. Iruka seized the opportunity to step in. When he explained, Naruto's face fell. Naruto friend's grades were first among all 27 graduates while you were last. I'm not saying that you haven't improved after becoming partners with Pikachu, but we made this team to balance each other out. Sakura pointed to Pikachu, who gave her a look of disapproval. Oh Iruka-sensei, what exactly is that thing? Sakura said. Thing? Oh, that does it, you pink-haired banshee. I'm going to fry you. In the meantime, Naruto was attempting to restrain his partner. He doesn't appreciate being called a thing, Sakura-chan. Naruto clarified prior to accidentally electrocuting Pikachu after holding him too tightly. Pikachu is a partner of Naruto just like how dogs are for the Inizuka clan. Iruka clarified. Just please refrain from insulting him because I don't think Naruto can hold his partner back for long. He then gave each squad a sensei and identified the other teams. After some time, Pikachu asked Naruto, so who is this 6th headmaster Haddock? In response to glances from his new comrades, Naruto said, I honestly don't know Pikachu. But I hope he's a good jounin. Did you have to electrocute me though? Pikachu gave a sheepish rub to the back of his head. Sorry about that. Naruto ran to check out the door after 2 hours had elapsed because he had had enough. Sakura chastised him, saying, Naruto, sit still. Naruto turned to his admirer. Angrily, he exclaimed, why is the sensei of our team so damn late? All of the other teams have left with their senseis and Iruka-sensei left as well. Pikachu looked wicked. How about a prank? Smiling, Naruto took Pikachu's suggestion and used an eraser to place it on top of the door. Sakura said, what are you doing, Naruto? With shock. They were taken aback, however, by the string that was fastened to the eraser and wound around a pulley system that would fire shurikens at the door. Sakura scolded him, saying, you're going to get into trouble. Pikachu told her, oh shut it you pink banshee. Naruto sighed as he told his buddy, Pikachu, that was a little rude. I must take action to help him get over his crush phase. Looking at his teammates, Naruto's pal remarked, our teacher is a jounin. An elite ninja, he is not going to fall for a simple booby trap. As he heard their words and saw the eraser, their sensei, the guy with silver hair that defies gravity and a mask covering the lower portion of his face with a headband covering his left eye, sighed outside the classroom. As he opened the door and let the eraser fall, he thought, I guess that I could use this simple prank to get them to let their guard down around me. However, his eyes widened when he saw the shurikens being shot at him, so he performed a rapid matrix move that shocked them. The jounin gazed at them and saw impressed looks in their eyes, even if they were concealed with a Naruto buddy, before his gaze fell on Pikachu. Okay, I give you points for being original. It seems to me that you struggle with greeting people. So he did find one of those creatures. Naruto's expression dimmed. Beyond the roof in 3 minutes. He vanished in a cloud of smoke after saying that. When the jounin spoke again, they all approached. Let's begin with introductions. Sakura remarked, well, what should we say? And Pikachu gave her a really look. How about your likes, dislikes, dreams for the future, hobbies and stuff like that? Naruto smiled and asked, why don't you introduce yourself first? His buddies nodded. For a moment, the jounin pondered, me. My name is 6th Headmaster Haddock. I have no desire to tell you my likes and dislikes. Dreams for the future. Never thought about them. As for my hobbies, well, I have a lot of them. Sakura scowled at Naruto while Pikachu mumbled, that was pretty pointless. All he really told us was his name. Now it's your turn on the right. Naruto smiled. My name is Naruto. I like Ramen, training with my partner Pikachu in this village. My dislikes are traitors and people who judge others for things that aren't their fault, and my dream is to surpass all of the headmaster, so everyone will acknowledge me and treat me like I'm somebody. He stated prior to examining Pikachu. You want me to translate for you, pal? Pikachu gave a nod. He looked at Sakura meaningfully and stated, I am Pikachu, a Pokemon. I like my partner, fighting, and watching the stars. I dislike people who try to hurt my partner for the stupidest of reasons. My hobbies are training and honing my attacks, and my dream is to find out what happened to the other Pokemon of the world. His new comrades were even more perplexed after Naruto's translation. Pokemon. Sakura pondered bewilderedly. What on earth are they? I wonder how strong this rat is, thought the Naruto friend. The sixth headmaster gave a nod. You in the middle. Well, Naruto grew up in an interesting way and found an interesting friend. My pal. Naruto looked up. My name is Naruto, friend Uchiha. There are a ton of things I dislike, but I really don't like anything, and my dream, no, my ambition is to kill a certain man and to resurrect my clan. Cool, Sakura thought, blushing. With trepidation, Naruto thought, he better not mean me. Pikachu gave a head shake. It sounded like it had been practiced. The sixth headmaster glanced to the final teammate and said, I thought so. Okay, Pinky, your turn. Sakura gave him a fierce look for that remark, but she obeyed. She blushed and giggled as she turned to face her Naruto friend. My name is Sakura Haruno. The thing I like, well, the person I like is. With a horrible feeling, Pikachu mumbled, someone get me a barf bag. The thing I dislike is Naruto. Pikachu reassured Naruto by giving him a pat on the back as he gaped at that. She looked at her friend Naruto once more and said, my hobby is. The sixth headmaster suppressed his want to moan. This age group of girls is more interested in love than in sport art. Alright, you're all different in your own ways, and tomorrow we'll begin our first mission. Alright. Naruto and Pikachu leaped to their feet. What is our mission tomorrow? Is it something exciting? Naruto gave Pikachu a look when he quipped, no more caffeine for you. Not cool, Pikachu. The sixth headmaster coughed. What we're going to do will involve all four, or should I say all five of us. Naruto couldn't help but smile broadly, asking, what? Survival training. Naruto appeared bored now. Survival training. Despite not saying anything, Naruto's pal appeared quite irate. Why is our duty training? Sakura inquired, perplexed. Didn't we train enough at the academy? Pikachu stated to Sakura, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize pursing in the bathroom was training. Naruto glanced at his partner and asked, really, Pikachu? Naruto, get over your crush for Arceus' sake. The sixth headmaster intervened before a dispute could start. This will be different from your usual exercise. Naruto looked back at their sensei and said, how? But the sixth headmaster laughed. Sakura glanced at the sixth headmaster and said, hold up, that was a normal question. What's so funny? The sixth headmaster teased, but you guys aren't going to like the answer. Naruto begged, tell us already. And Pikachu nodded next to him. With a look of realization on their faces, the sixth headmaster informed them that only 9 of the 27 graduates would be selected as genin. The rest will be sent back to the academy, so basically this is a pass or fail test, where the chance of failing is at least 66%. Everyone appeared either astonished or nauseous. I told you so. What? Naruto's eyes were wide. Then what was the point of graduating? Oh, that, laughed the sixth headmaster. That's just to select those who might become genin. Pikachu let out a whistle. Dang. The sixth headmaster got up to go, saying, okay, bring your shinobi tools to training ground 7 tomorrow. With that, the sixth headmaster departed, and shortly after, Sakura ran after him in an attempt to arrange a date, while Naruto sat there in disbelief. Oh, and skip breakfast, otherwise you'll puke. Naruto? Pikachu worriedly touched his companion. Are you okay? I might fail. Naruto shook his head in response. All the work we did might be for nothing. Pikachu said, hey. And Naruto turned to face him. It will be if you keep talking like that. Wah. Pikachu wasn't done yet, though. Where's the Naruto that won't give up no matter what? Even if we do fail, we will give it our best shot and prove that we are worthy of being genin. Pikachu cracked a grin. If we even think like how you are right now, we may as well turn in our headbands and quit. Naruto got up and straightened his headband, saying, you're right. We made a promise to become a team and to accomplish our dreams no matter what, so I'm not going to back down. And if I fail, then I'll graduate next year and try again until I do pass. I'll never give up. Pikachu jumped on his shoulder after laughing. That's the Naruto I know. Let's get some last-minute training done. You said it. Naruto and Pikachu were unaware that the sixth headmaster was observing them from atop one of the buildings as they took flight. He behaves similarly to you, Minato-sensei. I can tell he will succeed if he passes. As he waited for his comrades and their sensei in training ground 7 at the break of morning, Naruto yawned alongside Pikachu. Naruto said with fatigue. Why did 6th Headmaster Sensei ask for us to meet him this early? After shrugging, Pikachu said, I don't know. But you need to wake up quickly. Electrocute me. Blah. It'll wake me up. After a few seconds, Pikachu gave in and successfully woke up and partially cooked Naruto by electrocuting him. Pikachu pointed to the cool water stream a few feet away and said, you do realize that you could have used the stream down there, right? When Naruto heard footsteps and turned to find Sakura and his friend heading to the training grounds, his eyes twitched and he performed a face palm because he hadn't even noticed the stream. Sakura was trying to keep awake by yawning, but Naruto's friend appeared to be unchanged. Morning, Sakura-chan. Team. As they waited for the 6th Headmaster to arrive, Sakura was too exhausted to scold Naruto for referring to Naruto as a buddy, and the emo kid simply grumbled. Once 10 minutes had gone by, Pikachu remarked, man, he's taking his time. Before hearing two stomachs groan, Naruto reminded his companion, he could be just as late as yesterday, Pikachu. He turned to see Sakura gripping her stomach, but his friend was too proud to display it. You guys didn't eat this morning. Sakura scowled at him and said, of course not, Baka. 6th Headmaster Sensei told us not to. Naruto laughed when he saw their expressions, and was grateful that Pikachu had brought that up before he went, but he dug into his bag and took out some ration bars. Actually, he said that it was a suggestion. He held them out to them both and said, here. HMPH. Until his stomach growled loudly, making Naruto laugh, his companion was too arrogant to try. Come on, we'll need to be at our full strength for this assignment. Naruto's companion accepted one and muttered a brief unintelligible thank you, while Sakura took the other and whispered thank you. As they consumed the ration bars, Pikachu remarked, you're too nice for your own good, Naruto. Pikachu sighed in pleasure as Naruto caressed the area on his head between his ears and said, I know, buddy. Pikachu laughed at Naruto's frustration as they waited for an hour before he had to get up and pace a little. You do realize he could be testing your patience, right? When Pikachu said that, Naruto froze. He caught Sakura's and Naruto's attention by asking his companion, you mean this whole being late thing could be testing our patience? Yup. Getting a glance from Pikachu, Naruto's companion asked, hey dope, how strong is that rat? When Pikachu yelled, I'm not a damn rat, duck butt. Sakura and his Naruto companion gave him a perplexed look because they couldn't understand him. And my partner is not a dope. Naruto considered the topic while suppressing his laughter at what Pikachu referred to as his friend. Well, I don't really know yet, we trained since we met, but we haven't really tested our skills against anyone, so we'll find out someday, right, buddy? Pikachu clenched his fist in agreement, saying, you said it. Sakura moaned for another hour. How long is he going to keep us waiting? Pikachu sarcastically said, oh, I'm sorry. Do you have somewhere to be? Maybe you would like to rape Emo Boy and birth his babies. Naruto looked at Pikachu strangely. Should I ask? Pikachu let out a sigh. Probably not. The pink banshee is shallower than a Glamio. Thus before Naruto was about to tell Pikachu that Sakura wasn't a pink banshee, he paused to consider her reaction. I think I'd better keep my mouth shut. It took them yet another hour to hear the 6th Headmaster. Hey guys, good morning. Sakura and Naruto exclaimed, you're late. While Pikachu dozed and Naruto's pal merely frowned. The whispered Pikachu said, about time. Pikachu's eye twitched when the 6th Headmaster took out a clock and placed it on a tree stump. He was 3 hours late even though he had a clock. The 6th Headmaster held up silver bells and said, it's set for noon, and your task is to get these bells. Those who can't get a bell by noon get no lunch, and I'll eat mine in front of you. 6th Headmaster saw after a few seconds that there were no growling tummies. He questioned anxiously, didn't I say not to eat lunch? Naruto grinned. Actually, you suggested it. If you didn't want us to eat, you would have said not to. Huh? They're looking beneath the surface. Then as he fastened the bells around his belt, the 6th Headmaster pondered. The 6th Headmaster clarified, you only need to get one bell. There are only 2, so one of you will be tied to a stump. And that person will be sent back to the academy. Nervously, Naruto swallowed. I need to get a bell, Kuzo. The 6th Headmaster nodded and said, you can even use shurikens. If you aren't prepared to kill me, then you won't succeed. Sakura objected, but you'll be in danger. She's a fool, Pikachu thought, palming her face as Naruto chuckled. Yeah, you're so slow you can't even dodge a blackboard eraser. He boasted, omitting the kunai's matrix move. We'll kill you. And regrettably, my partner is also one. The 6th Headmaster deadpanned without even glancing at Naruto, saying, in the real world, those without talent often bark the loudest. Well, ignore Mr. Dead last and start when I say. ED dead last. Before Pikachu said anything, Naruto pondered in utter rage. He glared at the 6th Headmaster and replied, he's baiting you. Don't fall for it. Naruto calmed down by taking a deep breath. I may have been a dead last, but I can still kick your ass. Well, he didn't fall for my ruse. The 6th Headmaster was aware that Pikachu had said something to soothe Naruto, but he wasn't sure what it was. This is going to be interesting. Alright then. Start. Naruto was hidden in the foliage with Pikachu on his shoulder as they took off. Naruto questioned Pikachu, so what's the plan? Do we use the Raiden Cage Bushin combo? Pikachu asked after a brief period of silence. How many people are on Genin teams normally? And I mean Genin and Jounin. Naruto gave this some thinking. 4, why? Pikachu inquired inquisitively. If that's true, why did he say that one will be sent back to the academy? After shrugging, Naruto turned to face 6 Headmaster, who was surveying the area in the center of the clearing. I don't know, but I'm not letting Naruto friend team beat me. The muttering of that made Pikachu's eyes expand. He laughed, of course. Your sensei is a sneaky bastard. Naruto raised an eyebrow at Pikachu and blinked in surprise. Care to share what's funny? Pikachu clarified, don't you see? 3 people, 2 bells. We both know that a fresh Genin stands no chance against a trained Jounin. That's like putting a newly hatched Pokemon against a Charizard. That's when Naruto realized. Divided we fall. Pikachu concluded with a grin that his buddy noticed before he scowled, saying, together we conquer. But we need to get Emo Boy and the Pink Banshee to see this. Naruto grinned and raced out before Pikachu could stop him, saying, I have just the thing. You and me, right here, right now. He exclaimed to the headmaster of the 6th Order. Wondering what in the world the blonde was planning, Pikachu sprayed Naruto's shoulder with perspiration. In his hiding place, Naruto's friend performed a face palm. Stupid. The eye of the 6th headmaster twitched. You know, compared to the others, you're a little weird. Naruto emphasized the phrase weird or not. I think that with Pikachu and I working together, we can accomplish anything. So he caught on. The 6th headmaster was impressed since, despite Sakura and Naruto's companion seeing the suggestion, they did not move to assist the blonde. Since many people would have had it by then, Pikachu mumbled, they didn't show. Screw this, combo. Naruto rushed forward and said, combo. The 6th headmaster brought out an orange book, causing both Naruto and Pikachu to gasp in surprise. What the hell? The 6th headmaster read the text without even glancing at them. Aren't you going to attack me? Naruto questioned bewilderedly, why yeah, but why are you reading a book? Without blinking, the 6th headmaster replied, why? Well, to see what happens in this story of course. Pikachu grumbled, irritated at the Jounin's lack of consideration. You pretty much walked into that one partner. Naruto performed the ram seal, and the 6th headmaster stated, don't worry about it, it won't make a difference. The 6th headmaster looked up when he created 12 clones, each with their own Pikachu, saying, Cage Bushin no Spear Dart. Raiden style. Thunder Ballistic no Spear Dart. As they fired at the 6th headmaster, causing him to leap back, 11 of them were enveloped in electricity through Thundershock. But a few days ago, Naruto couldn't even construct one clone, so his pal was shocked to learn that he could generate 12 before noticing a minor detail. Solid clones. Am I looking at the same Naruto? Sakura was stunned as Naruto's clones scattered into smoke, which he exploited to strike the 6th headmaster. Nice plan. The 6th headmaster was impressed and said, creating your own combos huh? Before blocking the real Naruto's punch with his palm. Pikachu attempted an iron tail, but the 6th headmaster just blocked him with a kunai, and sent him flying into Naruto. Oof. Naruto rolled onto the floor. Despite his irritation, Pikachu whispered, impressed, this guy's good. But he's going down. Naruto attempted a kick, but 6th headmaster dodged and vanished, and Naruto anxiously searched the area but couldn't find him. The 6th headmaster sat icily behind Naruto, turning him white, never let your opponent get behind you. The friend of Naruto was startled that their Jounin would go that far and said, no way, that's a tiger seal. Partner. Sakura's voice could be heard as Pikachu launched himself forward with his quick attack. Naruto, get out of there. You're going to be killed. Naruto glanced back and noticed a sparkle in the eyes of the 6th headmaster. Wah? He asked. Too late. Hide Ninja Village Egakure hidden taste spread guy. 1,000 years of death. Pikachu halted his run and gazed clumsily. What the fuck, that was all he could think. Naruto gripped his butt in despair as the 6th headmaster shoved his finger all the way up his butt, sending him flying before he crashed in the neighboring brook. Complete bokus. Naruto's companion shook his head in thinking. Both of them. What sort of method is that? Sakura noticed a twitch in her eye. Pikachu continued to gaze. Was my partner recently violated by him for that? He wasn't sure if he should electrocute 6th headmaster, or simply question whether that was a real method or whatever. Coughing, Naruto emerged from the water. With a laugh, the 6th headmaster asked, anything else? Naruto cried, damn it. Sakura-chan. Naruto friend. Come on guys, we need to work as a team. PFT. As if a friend of Naruto had gone off to organize an ambush. Sakura also departed, saying, I'm only teaming up with Naruto friend Kun. As Naruto's countenance sank upon realizing that his alleged friends had deserted him, the 6th headmaster sensed the departure of the other 2 Genins through their core energy signatures. Oh, I'm going to fry them when I see them again. Pikachu thought in such rage that he might be mistaken for a primip. As Naruto gazed down, 6th headmaster thought to himself. As he vanished, he thought to himself, I'm going to talk to Headmaster Sama about an apprenticeship with Naruto, regardless of what happens or not. Those other two are going to learn why they should not abandon a comrade in need, and Naruto has discovered the actual goal of this exercise. Naruto? Pikachu cautiously walked up to the blonde. With a few tears streaming down his cheeks, Naruto asked his companion, why? Why couldn't they see that the only way to pass is to work together? Because they're idiots. Pikachu crossed his paws, aware that the others would have executed Naruto if this had been a true mission instead of a team exercise. Naruto, you gave enough hints to them. For Arceus' sake you flat out told them while they could hear you, and they ignored you. But Sakura-chan. But nothing. Pikachu interrupted fiercely. Your Sakura-chan chose to leave you to fend for yourself. All she cares about is helping her precious Naruto friend Kon to not notice a person who cared for her, even if it came out and slapped her with a magic herb. Naruto looked down as he realized that Yeti shook his head. To Pikachu's surprise, he answered, but I'm not giving up. Even if they abandon me, I'm not going to abandon them. I will become headmaster and I will pass this test, even if I have to force them to cooperate. With a sly smile, Pikachu hoped to punish his colleagues for abandoning their buddy. From 0 to 0 to 0 0 to 0 0 to 0 0 to 0 0. Sakura halted her motion as she noticed the sixth headmaster reading his book in the distance. Phew. As she prepared her attack, she thought, he didn't notice me. Then, from behind her, came a voice. Sakura, behind you. As the person holding the book vanished into the smoke, Sakura turned to see the sixth headmaster. He then performed a hand seal while leaves swirled around her, giving her that distant expression. From 0 to 0 to 0 0 to 0 0 to 0 0 to 0 0. Man, where are they? Naruto grumbled impatiently as he and Pikachu searched around before he jumped in response to a terrified scream. Pikachu proposed, I'd say we follow the screams. After nodding, Naruto scooped up Pikachu and headed for the scream, only to discover Sakura unconscious. Man, I don't even want to know what sixth headmaster sensei did. Pikachu smirked and answered, I do. The sensei had taught her a valuable lesson. Are you sadistic? Naruto softly asked his girlfriend. Pikachu shrugged and paused to consider it. Most likely. Naruto broke out breathing. Great. In an attempt to convince him that he was mistaken, Pikachu said, you going to wake her up, aren't you? Naruto grasped Sakura's shoulder and remarked, we need her to pass this exam as well as Naruto friend. I hate it when you're right. Pikachu grumbled before brightening up. I'll wake her. Though perplexed, Naruto took a step back and yelled in surprise, as Sakura woke up with a spasm after Pikachu unleashed a low-powered thundershock. Sakura's hair was all over the place and charged with electricity. Huh? Wah? She asked herself. Naruto turned to face his companion and asked, did you have to shock her, Pikachu? To get her attention? Pikachu gave an honest response, saying, she irritated me a lot lately. Sakura glanced around and asked, wait, where's Naruto friend? He's injured. Naruto responded to his crush, we didn't see Naruto friend. But we all need to work together to pass this exam. Sixth headmaster sensei is using a divide and conquer technique. When Sakura considered what he had said, she was about to urge him to shut up, but she felt ashamed that she hadn't realized sooner. Naruto smiled and said, so how about we find Naruto friend, work together, and then pass? Pikachu whispered, then you can go back to wanting to birth emo boys' babies. Naruto's eyes twitched. Sakura agreed, startling Pikachu by acting reasonable. Alright. But you better not be lying, bucka. As they rushed to collect Naruto buddy in time to witness him beating Naruto friend, Pikachu pondered, I guess there's hope for her yet. Naruto friend, you need a hand? Naruto inquired as he and Sakura made it to the clearing. As he was able to prevent the sixth headmaster from reading his book, Naruto's pal responded haughtily, you'll only get in my way, dope. You had your chance and you failed. Naruto exclaimed, but we need to work together. Sakura knows it as well. None of us can beat it Jounin right now. Says you. Naruto companion did some hand signs surprising sixth headmaster. Gagaku no spirit art. The Jounin vanished as Naruto's buddy threw a fireball at the sixth headmaster. Oh, emo boy is in trouble. This was what Pikachu was hoping to see. He's gone. My friend Naruto searched everywhere. To the side. Overhead. Then Naruto's friend was drawn into the ground by a hand that sprang out of the ground. Doten Shinju's Anshu no spirit art. Pikachu dropped from Naruto's shoulder, laughing at the haughty boy, while the Uchiha looked at the yellow mouse, aware of what he was doing, and just Naruto's friend's head was still above ground. As Naruto started his plan, Pikachu groaned as the alarm signaling the conclusion of the test went off. Sakura-chan, we need to get Naruto friend out. Pikachu and I will distract sixth headmaster sensei. Right when it was about to get good. From 0 to 0 to 0 0 to 0 0 to 0 0 to 0 0. 10 minutes later, Naruto's companion was bound to the tree stump, Sakura and Naruto were seated beside it, and the sixth headmaster had his eyes shut. I made my decision. Naruto and Sakura are going back to the academy. What? Pikachu growled angrily as he scowled at sixth headmaster, Sakura crying, since she had been separated from her Naruto friend, and Naruto's head was down. That is bullcrap. Until the sixth headmaster finished, my friend Naruto merely grinned. Naruto friend, you should just stop being a ninja entirely. What? Naruto's pal squinted, but he stopped upon noticing the sixth headmaster's scowl. The sixth headmaster remarked in a menacing tone, not one word. Naruto was the first one to understand the true purpose of this exercise. I purposely pitted you against each other to see if you could overcome that and become a team, but you are too prideful to even consider working with someone, and your pride can get you killed. Pikachu muttered to Naruto, I think I may have misjudged him. Naruto nodded in agreement. Sakura flinched beneath the sixth headmaster's glare as he said, Sakura, you abandoned Naruto to find Naruto friend when you could have helped him out in the fight against me. If this was real combat you would have had Naruto's death on your hands for abandoning a comrade. Sakura was appalled before the sixth headmaster turned to Naruto. You on the other hand knew you were outmatched, and tried to signal your teammates to help you, even going as far as shouting the true purpose of the exercise, and they still didn't help you. But despite that you went to help them, why? Naruto responded without hesitation, because even if they abandon me, they're my teammates. Even if they hate me during our duration as a team I have their backs no matter what. With another smile, Pikachu reiterated, you are too nice for your own good. But that's the best part about you. Sakura looked ashamed of herself, and the sixth headmaster sighed as his companion glanced away from Naruto to conceal the little respect that was seen in his eyes at that moment. He said, alright. To get their attention. I'll give you guys one last chance. Oh really? Sakura inquired in an attempt to fix her ears. Yes. Naruto and Pikachu exclaimed. Naruto's companion looked aside and said, HMPH. As he turned to go, the sixth headmaster said, after lunch, I'll make it harder to get the bells. They all began when he said, but Naruto friend doesn't get any. It's punishment for thinking of himself above the others, and if anyone is caught feeding him, then everyone fails. Sakura and Pikachu were eating 10 minutes after he vanished when Naruto heard his friend's stomach growl. Since he understood what it was like to be hungry, he offered some food. Here. The Naruto pal obstinately turned his head away and said, TCH. I don't need any food dope. And if you try to feed me you'll fail. Confused, Pikachu questioned, did he just point something out that didn't concern him? If you don't eat you won't be at your full strength when we fight 6th Headmaster Sensei. Naruto was arguing with him. So you're eating this regardless of your pride and of what he says. Before Sakura and Naruto turned to face Pikachu, who was gripping his packed lunch in defiance, he sighed and held out his own lunch, realizing that Naruto was guilt-tripping him. Sakura also held out some food. The blonde lad nodded as Pikachu murmured, Naruto, I want an extra helping at home. What are you doing? They all froze, turning to see 6th Headmaster standing with his arms folded and staring at them icily. Didn't I say not to feed him? The air felt denser around them, and Naruto was perspiring profusely at what was happening. Well you see. The 6th Headmaster charged at them faster than Pikachu's quick attack, asking, you throw away my second chance. You guys. He paused, smiling, his face directly in front of theirs. Pass. Huh. Sakura appeared to be on the verge of cardiac arrest. Naruto's companion blinked, and Naruto's attitude was bewildered. In agreement with Naruto, Pikachu questioned, crazy man says what? Sakura got up and said, pass. What do you mean? As he freed his Naruto friend, the 6th Headmaster acknowledged, you guys are the first. Everyone just did as I said. They were all morons. A ninja must learn to see beneath the underneath. Pikachu and Naruto simply exchanged glances, unable to understand his words. Their faces fell when the 6th Headmaster said the words, those who break the rules are trash in the ninja world. But you know what? Those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. H is pretty cool. Naruto said to Pikachu in a whisper. Sakura cheered, yes. Well, Naruto's companion remained silent, but his little grin suggested that he may as well be yelling, pride be damned. As he turned to go, the 6th Headmaster stated, tomorrow team number 7 will start missions. Report to the mission hall tomorrow at 6. While Naruto and Pikachu were smiling, Sakura hurried off to pester him about a date after his friend left to go home for training. Naruto said, yes. We're ninjas. With delight. Believe it. Pikachu murmured, calm down. His eyes were amused. Can't wait for your first mission. Naruto grinned broadly and exclaimed, you know it. Before raising his head. What the? Pikachu followed his attention and froze as he noticed a peacock and a big bird, a phoenix. Its feathers are mostly red and gold, with green feathers at the tips of its wings, a white underside, and yellow tail feathers. In addition, the bird has a yellow beak, black rings around its red eyes, a feathered yellow crest on its head, and a green stripe on its neck. Pikachu exclaimed, amazed, no way. Naruto questioned his buddy, what? That's Ho-Oh. What? Naruto exclaimed once more, this time in disbelief after seeing the bird vanish from view. That was Ho-Oh. The Phoenix Pokemon. The Pokemon of fortune and friendship. Pikachu simply gave a stupid nod. Pikachu exclaimed in wonder, she only reveals herself to people with pure hearts. Ho-Oh is not one to do this to anyone, and it is said that anyone who sees her is blessed with eternal happiness. Naruto looked up to where Ho-Oh had been just a few seconds before and said, whoa. This just proves that you were right. Pikachu looked at Naruto in confusion and said, huh. Naruto looked at Pikachu and smiled, saying, if Ho-Oh is still around, then the other legendaries are too. And we're going to see them all. A moment later, Pikachu smiled back at him. You said it, partner.